everybody, and welcome back to another fantasy football week here. It didn't go very well this week for me. I had some high hopes and I'd been on a really good run, but every now and then you just get one of those weeks where no one really does anything, and you end up with 34 points from an average of 50. Going through, you can see like all my players played. Most of them played like the required time to get at least 2 points. It's just that no one really did anything apart from De Gea and Kane. So very disappointing, really. After some very good weeks, De Gea obviously got a clean sheet. That was his kind of points there. And Kane scored a goal, I believe. Yeah, he scored a goal, so got 8 points in the end. Everybody else did absolutely nothing, just played their football games, I guess. So a little bit gutted, really hurt my overall. You see, I dropped over 1 million now. It was just one of those weeks, I think, where everybody I put in was kind of like a solid kind of view. I don't think there's anybody there who it was unexpected, perhaps, but the issue was that there were some kind of crazy results, I guess, in a way. I mean, not really, well, though there was actually, to be fair. If we kind of go through, the main one which screwed me was obviously Liverpool. I thought Liverpool would hammer Swansea, and as it turned out, Swansea beat Liverpool 1-0. I don't know what odds you would have got on that after Liverpool beating Man City the previous game. That is a very typical Liverpool thing to do, though, to be fair, is to go and play against a team who they are bottom of the league, they're expected to beat, and just not be able to. And probably one of the reasons why Liverpool are not higher in the table than they particularly are, because they struggle, I think, sometimes to break down those defences, whereas they play counter-attacking football way better. But fair play, from what I hear, and I didn't see the game, but from what I hear, Swansea really dug in and did really well, defensively. From where it puts them, well, gives them a fighting chance anyway. I don't know if they're going to be able to, they need some big signings basically as transfer window. They need a good couple of 2 or 3 players coming in, really good players to improve them. But fair play, they've got that kind of like new manager, kind of like improvement. And you just have to see whether or not Carlos Carvalho is going to be able to sustain that. Really, it's very early to tell now. So that was the big shock. I guess Southampton was another shock. Southampton were really struggling. Terrible form, hadn't won in like a while. Spurs again, being Spurs, very similar to Liverpool, which is where failing to break down the teams which they should be. And again, why these two teams are not higher than they should be. Because they're the sort of games which they have to be winning if they want to, be able to challenge for those Champions League places, let alone the title. These are the type of games which, Man City, Man United can kind of grind out, and it's the type of games that Arsenal kind of win, but then Arsenal generally tend to do badly against the top 6 teams, I guess, so it's the way it goes. So yeah, that was a bit of a shock, and obviously that meant that, apart from Kane scoring that vital kind of equaliser, Southampton did go 1 up. It was a bad day for my Tottenham players, and I don't think it was a terrible idea to have 3 Liverpool players and 3 Tottenham players in there, considering who they were playing, but it's just the way it goes, isn't it? Chelsea obviously smashed Brighton. Hazard, Moses, Willian, really good result for Chelsea, I think. Brighton, I'm getting worried about them now. I think they're going down. They're on the slide. I think they've just signed a player. I've got the transfers open here. This Jurgen Locadia was apparently their record transfer. I think they're going to need a bit more about them to be able to do it. I think they've had a bit of a tough run recently, though. They've played Chelsea twice. I guess the West Brom was bad, and the Bournemouth, and the Newcastle. Yeah, so to be fair, they've played teams in and around them, and they failed to win games, and that's a bad sign. I can, I don't think they're going to get rid of Chris Hughton, even if they get relegated. I hope not, anyway. But they're struggling. Newcastle as well, struggling. Stoke just got in. Paul Lambert got a good win, I guess. It's technically his first game. So they're not struggling. That was the 2-0 against Huddersfield. And as I said, if you're in the relegation battles, number one thing you've got to do is beat those teams around you. And pretty much I think here currently relegation is probably up to Everton with the form they're in. So up to 9th. That's only 6 points away from relegation. Unbelievably, I think Burnley they're out of it, aren't they? Like, they've only got to get another couple of wins and they're safe this season. They are on a bad run, but like, apart from probably the Crystal Palace result, they've played Man United and Liverpool in that, so they haven't done too bad, and they drew with Man United there, so they've had some tough fixtures, I guess. But fair play to Chelsea. They're kind of plugging away there, and I think they're going to get either third or second this season. Depending, I guess, on whether or not they manage to sign this striker they want to get. They've been linked with some weird players like Peter Crouch, Ashley Barnes, Andy Carroll, to name a few. They seem to want to get a tall striker. I guess a plan B situation where they can bring on in the last 10 minutes and maybe grab a goal. Which is why I guess they signed Llorente. No, they didn't sign Llorente. I think they wanted to sign Llorente, and Spurs signed Llorente, sorry. Which is why I think they wanted to sign Llorente, because I think they were in for him. I kind of feel like it's not a bad decision to try and sign a player like that. I just think that their options are a little bit limited, especially if they're trying to get someone on the cheap. Which again, I can understand, because their investment is in Morata, and that's who they want as number one. And I think at the end of the day, if he's going to be a number one and you're only going to play with one striker, then what's the point of spending 50 million on another striker? Because they're not going to be happy, are they, sitting on the bench? I guess maybe Olivier Giroud would be a good signing, to be fair, but I'm pretty sure Arsenal wouldn't sell him to them. Of course, the irony being that they lost Dominic Solanke, Tammy Abraham, two decent strikers. They lost Tammy on loan, which they probably shouldn't have done, and they lost Solanke on a free to Liverpool. So, not ideal. There we go. Arsenal smash Crystal Palace. No, I'm not happy about that at all. We were just absolutely terrible for the first half. Shocking. I'll put it down to a one-off. Unfortunately, that one-off was against Arsenal, and everybody I work with supports Arsenal, so I really felt that one. But that's just the way it goes, I guess. Good win for Arsenal. We'll talk a little bit more. I guess we can talk now about Arsenal and the fact that they've just lost Alexis Sanchez. He's gone to Man United. But they got Mkhitaryan in return. It was pretty much a straight swap, and I don't really see that as being bad business for Arsenal. I think Mkhitaryan has still got something to prove, but he's shown in parts at Man United that he can play. I think it wasn't. Clearly he wasn't. Mourinho didn't have the faith in him, and I think if you were to choose, being as much they're both about the same age, you would always take Sanchez, being a proven Premier League player, like a fantastic player at that. But from Arsenal's point of view, worst case scenario was for them, they lose Sanchez, I think, at the end of the season for free. Now they've got something out of it, and yes, they had to lose him to one of their rivals, but I guess it's better to get something out of it than nothing at all. And I see Mkhitaryan as a pretty similar player to Sanchez, so I think that's actually a decent bit of business. Now there's a lot of talk about them signing Aubameyang as well from Borussia Dortmund, which I feel, and I'm disagree with me, but I think he's one of the most overrated players in the world right now. I think he is because he has that sort of like party atmosphere, or that party personality, which I think would go down terribly at Arsenal, because it seems that's always been their problem, that they have players who are quite ill-disciplined, and Wenger doesn't seem like the sort of manager who's able to bring that sort of discipline in on players. And I also kind of feel like he's a striker, and they signed Lacazette at the beginning of the season, who's a striker, so you're like, what you can do, play both of them up front? Probably not. So you're going to play one of them on the wing, and then you end up in a situation where it's like you've played 50 million for two strikers, and one of them's going to play on the wing. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Ozil is, the rumour is he's going to stay and sign a new contract. I don't know where that leaves them up front, because it does leave them with a lot of options up front, to be fair. Decent players, Mkhitaryan, Ozil, Aubameyang, Lacazette. I just don't really feel like they would all fit in the same side, if that makes sense. Especially given the fact that Arsenal have such a weak defence, and a defensive midfielder is like always been a problem for them, as well as centre backs. So I feel that signing someone like Aubameyang would be a massive mistake right now. I don't think they need him. I think they've replaced Sanchez. If they can get Ozil to sign, great, but they should be focusing on defenders, probably a goalkeeper as well, and defensive midfielder. That's where their problems are, I think. Like, they score goals, they've scored as many goals as Chelsea, they've scored a few less, they're in terms of things, apart from, obviously if you take away the freak result of Man City, they're not struggling too much with goals, they're just conceding way too many. I mean, 31 compared to like Chelsea and Man United 16 is, that's like nearly half the amount Man United and Chelsea conceding, 18 at City. There's clearly, that's where the problem is at Arsenal. So I am puzzled by that a little bit, but I also kind of understand that probably signing someone like Aubameyang, like I see all the fans getting all excited and everything like that, and I'm like, but you signed a striker for 50 million at the beginning of the season, so why do you want to sign another one? I haven't seen too much of Aubameyang. What I have seen, he scores some good goals, but I think he's been very, very hot and cold this season, and I think he's just one of those people who, because of his fancy celebrations and his funky haircuts and his all that, his FIFA stats, he's a player who people think is a lot better than he actually is. So I would be interested. He could come to Arsenal and prove me wrong, I guess, but I guess we'll see. So yeah, Arsenal smash Palace. Man United claw out a 1-0 win against Burnley. I guess that's pretty good considering they failed to beat them at home. And I guess it's still, I mean, with City being 12 points ahead, nothing's inconceivable, but I think City have had their hardest games this season, and barring the Liverpool result, have come out with some very good results from them. So I think City are going to win the league. I don't know if they're going to buy anybody in this. I don't think they have brought anybody. They haven't brought anybody, so I don't think that's going to be a thing. But I could generally see now, like, Man City winning the league, Man United and Chelsea battling it out for second, and then these three teams, Liverpool, Tottenham, possibly Arsenal, possibly battling it out for that fourth place, which is kind of interesting in itself, even if perhaps the title race is over. And as I said, from 9th downwards, you've got the relegation battle. It's interesting that there used to be a very kind of like distinctive, like there used to be a top 6, then there used to be this kind of mid-table down to about there, and then the rest would be the relegation dogfight. Well, now it's so scrappy that 9th place downward, are in a relegation dogfight, and that is very, very interesting. Everton won, but West Brom won. I mean, struggling at the minute, let's face it. Walcott there getting an assist. I think that was a good signing for him. I'm kind of a Walcott fan in a way, just because of the FIFA. There I am saying about Aubameyang being overrated because of FIFA, and I'm saying Walcott is, but I always felt with Walcott was that Arsene Wenger never had that faith in him that I think Walcott needed. Walcott always said he wanted to play as a striker, and Wenger would play him there occasionally, and there were times when Walcott was really, really good, like exceptionally good. And I think he deserved, when Arsenal was struggling with strikers, he deserved to get a run as a striker, I think, but it wasn't to be. And I know he's probably not going to be a striker at Everton, but I think where he's going to be in a team where he's a bit more of a star player, I think he's going to do better. It's interesting that these players are being sold now by Arsenal. Oxlade-Chamberlain, Walcott, these were the kind of like future of Arsenal. You know, they were brought quite young from like Southampton. Callum Chambers, I guess you could add in there as well. I know he's not been sold or anything, but I wouldn't say he's exactly, you know, smashing it in the first team right now. So yeah, it's interesting that they're selling these players, but I think that's a good signing for Everton. They've spent so much money, Everton, this season, that it's just insane. To think that they're in a relegation battle, it really is. I think they'll be fine, don't get me wrong. I think you would get the shortest odds on them going down than anybody else, but it's tricky. Leicester 2-0 against Watford. Leicester very much in that mid-table with Burnley. Like, it's just those two battling out with each other for 7th and 8th, I think, which is good for Leicester. Like, they've done well. And Watford sacked Marco Silva, blaming Everton really by saying, like, since he had his head turned there, he's not really been the same, which is not untrue, effectively. But it's interesting that Marco Silva's kind of gone from the, you know, the manager everybody wanted and everybody was praising and saying like he's going to be a top 6 manager, to out of work, you know, halfway through the season, because Watford have been on a terrible run, really. They got in, was it Xavi Garcia, I think it was, Spanish manager. Watford have generally appointed fairly good managers, and they've got some good players, so I think they'll be fine, but it's an interesting decision by them, I think. Considering, I think from the beginning, Marco Silva always said that he was going to use the club as a stepping stone. And like, if you're honest like that, then you can't blame him if his head's being turned by a richer club. It's just a way of things. Stoke got a good 2-0 win. I kind of said that before. West Ham still really struggling down the bottom there. Really struggling. I think, you know, it's going to be interesting playing Palace next. They've been on a good run, but they're still in it, you know. They're still down there. And then obviously the Spurs, Southampton. Man City won 3-1. So pissed off they conceded. That's like another 8 points I would have got. That's just the way it went this week. Or, you know, that was just unlucky, really, I think. Next game, Swansea Arsenal. Well, God knows. West Ham, Crystal Palace, and Huddersfield Liverpool. I guess we've got an international break, have we, this weekend, or an FA Cup? Is it FA Cup or something? Can't even remember, to be honest. Chelsea Bournemouth. You'd imagine a Chelsea win there. You'd imagine a Liverpool win here, but definitely imagine a Man City win there. I'm definitely keeping these two guys in. I'll put a third Man City player in, I think. Probably drop like actually I don't want to do anything yet because we don't know who's going to be playing, but I'll probably drop like Ali and put in a Man City midfielder or something, or attacker probably. Maybe Aguero. He seems to be doing pretty well right now, especially as Jesus is injured, so he's going to be playing, you know. Newcastle Burnley, that's a tough one. Southampton Brighton, it's another tough one to kind of pick there. You can imagine them being draws. Everton Leicester, tough game for Everton there, which they need a win from. Spurs Man United, that would be a great game, I think. And Stoke Watford, which should actually be a pretty good game. Battle of the new managers there in a way. West Ham Crystal Palace should be a pretty good game, I think, as well. So some good games coming up. I won't do my transfers just yet. As I said, I think possibly I'll probably take a risk and just put in a Man City player there. Decor, I could possibly leave in, and I'd be confident that Palace would get a clean sheet, so I might switch out Kelly for MacArthur. And then Barnes at Burnley, got Newcastle, so that might not be a bad shout, putting Barnes in. We'll see anyway. But yeah, so I guess I just wanted to have a quick look at the transfers so far. Obviously we've spoken about Mkhitaryan going to Arsenal. They've also signed some Greek defender who went straight out on loan. Coquelin's been sold to Valencia. Theo Walcott's been sold to Everton. And Alexis Sanchez has been swapped with Mkhitaryan. As I said, I think that's a pretty good deal for Arsenal. I think that's the best they could have hoped for. Burnley signed Aaron Lennon from Everton. Hopefully he can do pretty well there. And Nkudu from Spurs, who never really got a game really at Spurs, did he? Chelsea signed Ross Barkley, who I don't really know why they signed him. I think I spoke about that before. Like, I don't get why you sign Ross Barkley if you've got Loftus-Cheek, who seems to have played eminently way better. But there you go. Palace has signed Erdal Rakip, who's a young Swedish player. Weirdly, and I thought this was weird, that he joined Benfica and then immediately went out on loan to Palace. And I was like, Palace are a bigger club than Benfica. Like, and you might be like, no, don't be stupid, Benfica, like challenging for the Portuguese, blah, blah, blah. No, Palace are a richer club than Benfica by a long way, I promise you that much. So that's very weird. I thought, but hey, if he's decent, he's decent. We needed some backup, I guess. And we also signed a Polish defender. I love a good, like, rock hard Eastern European defender. You know, like a I'm trying to think. Just, you know, like traditional kind of like Eastern European defenders who are just like scary, you know. Hopefully he'll be one of those. I think they signed it for 2 million. Everton signed Sengatosson and Theo Walcott, again splashing the cash there. Kevin Morales went out on loan. Barkley's obviously left. Sengatosson being a very highly rated striker from Turkey, but I don't know, we'll see on that one how well he fits in. Huddersfield signed Terence Congolo from Monaco, and Alex Pritchard from Norwich, who could be a good player for them. Leicester signed Fusian Diabate. I've never heard of him, I'm going to be honest. Liverpool signed Virgil van Dijk, as we know, and lost Coutinho, so I could see them doing a bit more business. Man City have not signed anybody. I don't think they will do. Man United obviously signed Sanchez. Mkhitaryan left. Newcastle got Kennedy from Chelsea on loan. Newcastle really need to sign some players, as do Southampton, really, I guess. Stoke signed a few players. Swansea haven't signed anybody. Tottenham have just recalled a loan. Watford haven't signed anybody. West Brom signed a couple but on loan. It's not very inspirational if you're signing. Oh, sorry, their loan returns. Maybe West Brom do need somebody come in at West Ham. Reece Oxford returned from Borussia Mönchengladbach. That's it really, so not too much going on so far, but we've still got like 8 days left of the transfer window, I think. So till then guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, it's been my pleasure, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.